going to do an insight video today. The last couple of days, or the last couple of days, I felt a lot of connection to sort of like the ascended master, and a connection around presence, peace, harmony, balance, things like that. And currently, sort of like I feel like that's needed. It's needed within our lives, but we also need to be a lot more conscious. And what does this mean, being conscious? It means being a state of beingness where your energy and your light are being used in a way that's more conscious. So what's meant by this is how we use our thoughts, how we use the space, our energy field, how we connect and align, how we sort of vibrate in our own frequency. And I think that's really important, like your own frequency, because you start to feel your own energy, and you start to feel the shifts and changes within your own energy. And when you become more conscious of that and you gain awareness of it, then you can start to apply it in a different way in your own life. And this is what I want to talk about a little bit this morning. I want to talk about this sense of presence and this sense of peace. And I feel like the ascended master, like Master Jesus, was very much around that. You know, he was very much around peace, presence. He was about alignment. It was about harmony. It was about balance, and it was about being very conscious of that, having the awareness of it, the awareness of shifting and changing of your sort of like consciousness, and how that affects your energy, but also affects your reality. And it's really, really important in that way. And this is some of what I've been talking about the last couple of days. Like in the last meeting, the last reading, sorry, I did. It was very much talking about consciousness and presence, and I was talking about the master, ascended master, like Christ consciousness, and this understanding of presence and peace, but also this understanding of your own state of being. And your state of being is when you're in your own energy, and you create a space that allows your energy and your energy field to open up and start to feel like you're more connected, you're more aligned, and you're more sort of like in tune with like source energy, source light, but also the masters and the angels. And I feel this is really important because consciousness plays a big part when we'll have like awareness. And again, this relates to ascension process. The ascension process is coming back into oneness. It's coming back into your own energy, your own light, but also coming back into oneness with source light and energy, which is the creative energy, or creative sort of like the creative energy of all things and all beings. And we're connected to that, and we're part of that whole. And this is what the universal law of oneness teaches us and shows us, that we're part and we're aligned to that. And again, this sense of like consciousness, how you can start to gain awareness of your energy, and how you can start to apply consciousness in a different way, that you start to really sort of like start to create a new different reality within your own specific life. But then how that sort of like then aligns with a collective consciousness, the planetary consciousness. And this is part of what we're doing here. We're anchoring that light in, anchoring that energy in for this time. I've woken up today and I feel very peaceful, but I feel like I've woken up this morning and I've been very much sort of like directed to breath, and I've been directed to like mindfulness practices. And it's about sort of like being in a state where everything's slowed down, so you can create a space of like a sacred space within yourself, and how that allows you to be more in tune with your own energy, your own frequency. And again, this is what I was talking about, being more conscious, more awareness, and having more conscious. And this sort of like, when you have this consciousness, then you can start to then create a reality that's more peaceful, that's more aligned, that's more spiritual, more sort of aligned with your spiritual nature, your spiritual essence, but also more aligned with your your source energy, your source light. And I feel this sort of like, when we're talking about like presence, in this sense, presence is this state of being where you're in a state of being where you're more in line, that you're more sort of present, you're aware. Presence is being having the awareness that when something comes along in life that affects you, or impacts you, that you have the consciousness and the awareness to shift and change that. And this is how we become sort of like aligned with that source energy and light, which is like manifestation and creation. And again, this connects to Saint Germain, who's very much around sort of alchemy, which is creation, which is using spiritual energy and vibrations and frequencies to shift and change things, to be more aligned, be more in harmony. And again, the ascended master Jesus was all about harmony, about in harmony with the world, but in harmony with reality, and in harmony with each other and nature in that sense. It was very much about like peace is like that to me. Peace is presence. It's having the ability to be aligned and be in the moment, have that presence to shift and change. And this is again another tool that's really, really important. And this is why consciousness, because consciousness is energy. You know, it's our thoughts, it's our emotions, it's our frequency. And you know, when we start realizing that, you know, we can shift and change that frequency, then we become more aware, we become more aligned, and our consciousness shifts and changes to a higher state of being. And this is what beingness is, and this is why I wanted to talk about being, because it's not thinking, and it's not necessarily, it's not intellectually thinking. Consciousness is being aligned to your inner source energy, and it's about being able to access it, and then it's about being able to sort of integrate it within your reality, within your life, and then being able to sort of resonate that with a frequency, so you can start to walk in life as light and energy, not as, you know, a sort of like a mixture of all these thoughts, feelings, emotions. Like state of being is beyond that. It's about being in a space where you can start to then create, but create from your source energy, your source light, where you manifest from a spiritual place, a spiritual essence and spiritual truth to create a reality that's different. And each and every one of us has the ability to do this. And this is why you know, the ascended master path was so much about this, where they were called the illumined ones, because they sort of like, they brought wisdom and understanding and consciousness to daily reality. And this is part of the teachings of the ascended masters, and this is what they bring to us. The illumined ones mean they have an awareness, they have a high state of being, they have a high state of consciousness. And this is what we're all sort of trying to move towards. And each and every one of us, in essence, are an ascended master in training. And that's why we've come down here. We've come down here to be, that's what we're here for. We're here to align with our spiritual nature, our essence, and resonate our source light and energy, and to create and manifest, but to create and manifest a spiritual reality. And that's for the planet collectively, but it's also for us individually. And this is part of the master path, is the individual state of awareness, the individual state of consciousness, and how we can use that and open up to that and integrate it within our own life to create a new reality, but then to also shift and change to connect to the collective reality, the universal reality, which is then this is where we start to then move into the higher states of being and awareness and consciousness. But this is where we start to connect with what many people call our infinite self, or our higher self. And this is the purpose of each and every one of us that are here, you know, as spiritual beings. This is our purpose, and this is why we're trying to anchor in this energy now, to shift and change our reality, but to shift and change our reality for a new collective reality on the planet. And obviously the collective reality, when we align the planet, then we align ourselves with the universe. And when we start to do that, then we align ourselves with universal realities. And this is where obviously the ascended masters and the archangels live, and sort of like resonate on. And this is each and every one of our purposes. So for me, it's like the lesson, or sort of the teaching today, when I talk about presence and I talk about state of being, it's about how do we remain in that, how do we integrate that within our daily lives. And again, some of this that I feel today is like slowing things down, being in the moment, being present, being conscious, conscious of shifts in our own energy fields, conscious of shifts in our own mindset, conscious of shifts in our own emotional feelings, emotional impact from things that are going on, and realizing that, you know, as a conscious being and as this conscious spiritual being, you have the, you know, you have this energy and this light that you can shift and change that. You don't need to remain in that. So sort of like today, like presence and consciousness are very, very important, and awareness. And I feel this is, I'm being given this in a way because this is important for us collectively, but for each and every one of us. And it's like I feel like the masters are asking us to practice this illumination, as well as as a practice, as a tool, practically. Again, I talk about universal law of correspondence and inspired action. I feel this illumination comes into here because this is where we receive insight and wisdom from one, our intuition, our source light and energy, that we're opening up to that. A guidance from soul knowledge, soul wisdom, soul experience. And when we can go and we can be in a state of presence, then we can start to then receive, because what we're doing then is we're becoming an open channel to receive this divine intelligence, this divine guidance, this divine inspiration. And this comes from many different sort of sources. It comes from, everything is source energy, light and energies. Like each and every sort of like being, an infinite guide and universal teacher is born of source creation. So when I'm saying coming from different sources, it's all one source, but they're all connected because they're all part of one vibration, one frequency, and everything is interconnected. So this, you know, when you're in like this divine sacred space of inspiration, this is where you start to receive guidance and information from archangels like Archangel Gabriel, Archangel Michael, Uriel, but you also connect into where you start to receive teachings and messages and insight and wisdom from masters and universal teachers, as well as your own individual guides that work with you as well. So this is why it's important, because the more we do that, the more we become we become open to universal sort of consciousness and universal understanding. We become open to like spiritual wisdom and knowledge and understanding, and we also become open then to the divine intelligence, which again connects to our Moira, the ascended master that brings this divine guidance, this divine intelligence, as does Gabriel, the Archangel Gabriel, is the messenger that brings this inspiration, this insight, this wisdom, as does Michael about protection, understanding, but also awareness. You know, this awareness, this consciousness, this understanding of ascension, again, which connects to Serapis Bey, who brings this ascension knowledge back to the planet, which is very much aligning us to bring us back into oneness, as does Saint Germain, and as you see, as I start to talk about, as does, you know, Ascended Master Lord Lanto, which is about wisdom, illumination, which is about presence, which is about being in source energy, source light. It's about the resonance, the expression of truth, the expression of spiritual reality within this time, and like I said, as well as Ascended Master Jesus, that brings this consciousness that we're all part of the same source, that we're all part of a one vibration, that everything is harmony, everything is balance, everything is peace. You know, this also connects to Lady Nada, which is the Ascended Master. Also connects to Archangel Shamuel, that brings presence, peace, harmony, balance, and they're all sort of like working with us at the moment to bring this balance, this presence, this consciousness, this awareness, this understanding, which is needed at this time, because many of us are still sort of like being caught up in that 3D reality, the objective world, the physical world, the materialistic world, and it's sort of like it's bringing us into this space of source light energy and creation, where we can start to let go of some of that attachment to that reality and start to use our consciousness in a way to bring peace, balance and presence and harmony to our own lives, but to others' lives as well, because like the Ascended Master, Jesus, was very much around harmony and healing, And that is part of the Christ consciousness, that we're all one vibration, we're all one frequency, and we're all brothers and sisters, we're part of a universal family. And it was very much around sort of his teachings were around the fact that we're all sort of like, we're all spiritual beings and we're all interconnected, we're all part of the same whole. And you know, each and every one of us are interconnected to each other, and it's about sort of healing, it was about sort of loving, it was about unconditional, which is source lighting, and creation, which is the source energy vibration, is about unconditional, that all beings are one. The law of oneness goes through all things and is part of everything. And when we start to realise that, then we start to treat each other as we are sort of one. We're one frequency, we're one being. And that's the higher state of awareness, that's the higher consciousness. When we start to realise that we don't need to judge anybody, we don't need to attack anybody, we don't need to we don't need to do anything that, because at the end of the day is we're all the same vibration, we're all born of the same source energy, we're all the same, you know, we're all one spiritual essence vibrating and harmonizing as one frequency, because we're all part of the same whole. And this is what helps bring sort of equality, brings harmony, brings balance, and brings peace. And I feel this is what the Ascended Master Jesus' teaching was bringing us many moons ago. It was very much around sort of seeing each other and seeing, but also seeing the source light in creation, or the source energy in each other. So when you start to see that, that's when you start to see that we're all brothers and sisters of light. We're all part of one universal family. We're all part of one universal light. And none of us are separate, and none of us are alone, because we're all part of this. We're all interconnected, and we're all sort of aligned in that way. So that's the reading, or the insight for today.